Hello fellow coffee botherers, I'm Kev from coffeeblog.co.uk, and in this video I'm going to be unboxing, setting up, using and reviewing the Sage or Breville Bambino. The Bambino is the base level non-plus version of the Bambino Plus we've known of for some time in the UK under the Sage brand. It hasn't been available in the UK until recently, but now it is available, which is why I'm reviewing it. So I'm going to unbox it, set it up, make some coffees with it, and then let you know what I think. Instructions: scaler, portafilter, that's 54ml, water filter and filter holder, tamper, standard and dual wall baskets. You see we've got 4 in total, 2 of each. One of the baskets is already in the portafilter though. The Bambino itself, milk jug in there. Take the plastic off, bits of tape holding the water tank in place. More bits of tape, pick them up later. Water tank, wand removal and cleaning tool neatly stored under the water tank. There's that water filter holder and the water filter that goes in the water filter holder, funnily enough. This is the built app instructions for the interactive installation. Instruction manual, read that later. Pick that up later. Done. Okay, so now to set it up. I kind of know what to do, but I'll read the instructions anyway. The first thing it wants me to do is put the water filter into the holder and install it into the water tank, but it wants me to submerge the filter in water for 5 minutes first. So I'll do that in the water tank. Leave that for 5 minutes. Here's the one tip removal and cleaning tool in the neat little cutout under the water tank. Now the filter's been in water for 5 minutes-ish, so we need to set this so the first number is the month of the install so we can see when to replace it. It's mid-October now, so we'll set it like that. Stick that into the filter holder, stick this into the water tank. Let's fill up the water tank, put the water tank on the machine and plug it in. It wants me to put a jug under the steam wand and the portafilter. Now it wants me to press the single shot button. Done. I've unboxed it and I've set it up, which as you saw was very quick and easy to do. I'll start off with a shorter nutshell version of the info part of this video for anyone who already knows a bit about the Sage Bambino Plus, and then I'll do a bit of a longer intro for people who are not already familiar with it. See the time codes below if you want to skip any parts of this video. So in comparison with the Bambino Plus, which many of you will already be familiar with, it looks almost the same. It has a smaller water tank, 1.4 litres versus 1.9 litres. It doesn't have the auto milk frothing function that the Plus has. It does have a hot water button that the Plus doesn't have, and it's slightly cheaper. They're the main things. I'll talk through some of the more subtle differences shortly. So let's go over these differences first. The water tank size I think makes little real difference to most people. I'm not sure why they've made the water tank smaller, to be honest. I can't think that a smaller water tank makes much difference to manufacturing costs, but anyway, there must be a reason. If you're using your machine in a kitchen with close access to water, it's really no big deal. It's very easy to remove and fill the water tank. If you're using your machine in an office or somewhere else without access to water, the tank is 26% smaller, so it'll mean 26% more trips to fill the tank, I suppose. If you're taking bottled water to the office, for example, then it just means pouring water in more often, so probably not a massive deal. The lack of auto frothing for me is a major difference. I think this is a main thing which will separate Bambino users from Bambino Plus users. If, like me, you'd never use the auto frothing function and you're wanting to learn to pour latte art, milk texture is really important. And if you'd rather learn to get slightly better results manually than the machine will do, then this machine is for you. Or if you rarely have a need for steamed milk and you mainly drink espresso or Americano, then again, this machine is made for you. Because why pay extra for a feature you don't need? And this has the hot water button too, which is great if you're going to be drinking Americano, Lungo, Long Black, or whatever you want to call espresso mixed with hot water. Italians, I believe, call this lunacy. The Bambino Plus will dispense hot water, by the way, even though technically it's not supposed to, and click here to see how to do that. But it's easier with the Bambino if you just press the hot water button. So that's a nutshell version for anyone who's familiar with the Bambino Plus. Now for the more in-depth review, and if you're already familiar with the Bambino Plus, some of this will be old information, but just check out the timecodes below if you're skipping, because in this section I'm going to talk about some of the more slightly subtle differences with the Bambino versus the Plus, which you might not be aware of from reading the marketing blurb only. So the Bambino is an entry-level espresso machine in terms of price, which has the ability to deliver really impressive results in terms of espresso quality and milk texture. And as I've mentioned, unlike its slightly more expensive sibling, it has a hot water button. This makes it an obvious choice for using in an environment where you wouldn't naturally have another source of hot water, i.e. a kettle, such as in a motorhome or for using in your office and so on. It has an on-demand water heater as opposed to a brew boiler, and this is normal for entry-level machines. Actually, most of the cheaper machines have thermoblocks. The Sage machines have thermocoils, which are a bit more modern. The Bambino, as with the Bambino Plus, features their Thermojet, which is the newer thermocoil, and this is what gives these machines their crazy fast 3-second ready time. The machine really is heated up after just 3 seconds, by the way, but you do need to run some hot water through the group and through the portafilter, because although the Thermojet itself is up to temperature after 3 seconds, the brew path, the group, the shower screen and the portafilter will all be stone cold. So by the time you've done all that, it's probably more like 30 seconds or so, but still ridiculously fast. Where it sits price-wise, it's not that far away from the £100 to £200 machines, which have two main problems, most of them do, which I'll come back to in a sec. And it's not actually that far away in terms of performance to machines costing a lot more money. In fact, in some ways, it's arguably better in performance than some higher-priced espresso machines. So I think it's a really interesting proposition for this kind of price. In fact, off the top of my head, for this price, unless you're looking at used machines, there's no machine I can really think of which quite competes with this. When I say the two main problems of cheaper domestic espresso machines, by the way, these are pressure and temperature stability. Nearly all the cheaper espresso machines on the market, up to and including the DeLonghi Dedica, and click here for my video on that machine, have pumps that deliver 15 bars of pressure, and they don't have an OPV or overpressure valve. The Bambino, as with the Bambino Plus, has a 15 bar pump, but it has an OPV, an overpressure valve, set to 9 bars, the widely accepted ideal espresso pressure. The next problem most cheaper machines have is lack of temperature stability. The Bambino has a PID, which I won't bore you with the technical details of, mainly because I don't really understand it myself, but this basically means temperature control. Factory preset temperature control in this case, because you can't adjust it. This means the Bambino, as with the Plus, will keep itself at the brew temperature and pull itself back down to the brew temperature quickly after steaming milk. Having a PID alone doesn't make this machine perfect, but it does, in my humble opinion, lead to the Bambino and Bambino Plus punching well above the weight when it comes to temperature stability. This isn't a small thing, by the way. When it comes to espresso, temperature stability is one of the most important things, so for such a low-cost machine to do so well in this area is very impressive. The Bambino, as with the Bambino Plus, also features low-pressure pre-infusion. This is something that, other than Sage or Breville machines, you don't usually get until you spend quite a bit more money. Just to qualify that last statement, by the way, when I say Breville, I'm talking about the brand name that these machines sell under outside of Europe. I'm not talking about the Breville that we know of in the UK. The brand name was sold here in the 80s, which is why we know these machines here as Sage. If you see an espresso machine available in the UK under the brand name Breville, just be aware they're not the same machines, even though a couple of them look very similar. Anyway, going back to pre-infusion, it means that water is introduced more gently to the puck of coffee in the basket before the pressure is applied. And the main benefit of this is to reduce the chances of channeling, which is one of the main causes of poor tasting espresso. You have two shot buttons, which you can very easily reprogram, but you can't reprogram the pre-infusion. You can, however, pull shots manually with manual pre-infusion by pressing and holding either shot button for however long you want pre-infusion to last. And after releasing the button, the machine will exit pre-infusion and ramp up to full pressure, and then you can press the shot button again to stop the shot. As with the Plus, the Bambino comes with both standard baskets and pressured or dual-walled baskets. So you can use it with a capable grinder such as a Sage Smart Grinder Pro or Dose Control Pro, both of which I think are a really good pairing for the Bambino and Bambino Plus, or you can use a cheaper, less capable grinder or even pre-ground coffee and use the pressured or dual-walled baskets. I've received a few emails recently from people who are under the impression that the Bambino Plus and the Bambino don't come with standard baskets and that they come with pressured baskets or dual-wall baskets only. That's not right. They do or should come with both standard and dual wall baskets because they're listed on the parts list as coming with them. So if you get a machine with only the dual wall baskets, for example, that isn't right, and I'd recommend getting in touch with support. As with the Bambino Plus, the drip tray is tiny. You do need to empty it often, although unlike the Plus, when you push the steam one back down, it doesn't auto purge, which means you can purge into a cloth and then push it back down, which will save a bit of drip tray capacity. With the Bambino Plus though, I just put a jug under the wand, so when I push it back in place, it auto purges into the jug. And as with the Bambino Plus, and even probably more so with the Bambino, because it'll be lighter with a full tank of water, it'll move around when you're locking and unlocking the portafilter. But I found you just get used to that, and you find yourself steadying the machine with one hand while you lock it and unlock it, the portafilter, with the other. As I mentioned earlier, the Bambino only does manual milk steaming. It doesn't have the auto frothing. But there are a few more differences to steaming milk that you might not know from looking at the website. While the Bambino Plus steam wand only goes up and down, the Bambino steam wand is on a ball joint, so this means you have more flexibility over jug position with the Bambino. The Bambino has a single hole steam tip and it's a 4-hole steam tip on the Plus. So I'm guessing that steaming will take a bit longer, so let's have a race. The Bambino is steaming almost instantly, the Plus about a second later. The Bambino Plus took 39 seconds to steam 200 ml of milk to 60 degrees Celsius, and the Bambino 59 seconds, so 20 seconds difference. Now I'm swapping the tip over, putting the 4-hole steam tip on the Bambino to see how much faster this makes it. With the 4-hole steam tip, it took 45 seconds on the Bambino, so only 6 seconds slower instead of 20. So as you saw, while the steam is ready about a second faster on the Bambino, presumably because of the slightly smaller, thinner steam one, steaming takes a bit longer with the Bambino. The Bambino was about 20 seconds slower to heat up 200 ml of milk to 60 degrees Celsius or 140 Fahrenheit with the stock fitted single hole steam tip. Interestingly, it's not all in the tip, as I tried the 4-hole steam tip on the Bambino and that split the difference, making it only 10 seconds slower. So I assume that some of this is to do with the wider steam pipe used for the wand on the Plus. So if you want to save yourself roughly 10 seconds each time, you can buy the 4-hole steam tip. It's £7.51 and I'll link to that in the description below. Some other points to mention. First, they're obviously different when it comes to size. The Bambino Plus is 19 centimetres wide, 36 centimetres deep and 31 centimetres tall, and the Bambino is just 16 centimetres wide, 35 centimetres deep and 31 centimetres tall, so about a centimetre less in depth and about 3 centimetres less in width. Another thing to mention is that the Bambino doesn't come with the razor tool. The Bambino Plus does, and this isn't a huge deal, but I really like the razor tool. It's one of the little things which I think makes the Bambino Plus such a great beginner-friendly machine, as it means you always have the right headspace between the coffee and the shower screen. It's only £6 or £7, so you can just buy one. I'm just not sure why, for such a cheap part, that they wouldn't just include it, especially given the relatively small price difference in between these two machines, as I think this little inexpensive accessory makes quite a big difference. The tamper that comes with the Bambino Plus is quite a nice, fairly heavyweight metal and plastic tamper. The tamper that comes with the Bambino is the same shape, but it's a really lightweight plastic. I'm sure it'll do the job, but I don't like it. The metal and plastic tamper is just under a tenner, and I'd probably buy that. The water tank on the Bambino, although it's smaller, feels and looks more rugged. It's made of a thicker plastic, so I'm quite impressed with that. I don't think the tank on the Bambino Plus is flimsy, but the Bambino water tank is definitely thicker. I think the shot quality with these machines is about as good as you can expect if you're spending this kind of money, and especially if you stick to medium dark to dark roasted beans. If you want to use lighter roasted beans, really you need a machine with adjustable brew temperature. What this means is that the Bambino and Bambino Plus, with the brew temperature they run at, they're going to do better with medium dark to dark roasted coffee beans. The lighter roasted you go, the harder it is to extract everything the bean has to give. Generally speaking, lighter roasts need a finer grind and a higher brew temperature. To be fair, you don't usually get adjustable brew temperature until you spend quite a bit more money. The DeLonghi Dedica does give you 3 brew temperature options, but that machine isn't as temperature stable as these. If you want adjustable, stable brew temperature, you usually have to reach a bit deeper into your pocket. You can adjust the brew temperature on the Barista Express, and click here for the video I did on that machine, and you can do the same on the Barista Pro too, and click here for my video on the Barista Pro. If you want to get great results with lighter roasted beans, for me, one of the best options, and certainly one of the best priced options for that level of machine, is a Sage dual boiler, and click here for my review of that machine, or go to coffeeblog.co.uk/DB for the blog post review. You can adjust the temperature on that machine from 86 to 96 degrees Celsius in 1 degree increments, which gives you the ability to work with a wide range of roast profiles. But if you're not bothered about lighter roasts and you're more than happy with the more traditional espresso roasts, you really don't need to worry about that. So overall, I think this is a mega machine for the money. It's ridiculously user-friendly and beginner-friendly. It'll make espresso and espresso-based coffees that the majority of people will be over the moon with. Compared with the Bambino Plus, the differences don't impact on the coffee. This will make the same quality coffee as the Plus. It's tiny, even smaller than the Bambino Plus, so it'll fit just about anywhere, even right in front of you on your office desk, or in your van, or even in your tent if you've got a hookup or whatever. It's fast. You'll be walking away with your coffee faster than with most other espresso machines. It's obviously very similar to the Bambino Plus, so the obvious question is, which one is best for you if you're considering one of these machines? And I think this is really simple. If you're mainly drinking espresso and water-based coffees, Americano, Lungo, then the Bambino is the obvious choice. If you're also going to be making milkies, latte, cappuccino, etc., and you don't want the learning curve associated with producing great milk texture, and there really is a knack to it, then the Bambino Plus is the obvious choice, thanks to the auto frothing function on that machine. If you drink milkies, but you have no interest in the auto frothing function, then the Bambino is the obvious choice. For me personally, because I do sometimes want hot water and I'd never use the auto steaming function, I'd go for the Bambino, and I'd invest another 16 quid or so in total on the proper tamper and the razor tool. I do wish these were included, but given their low cost, it's not really a deal breaker that they're not. If I've missed anything, please let me know in the comments below. And by the way, I'll be giving this machine away very soon to a Patreon supporter, along with other giveaways which I've been meaning to do for ages, and apologies to everyone who's been waiting. So thank you very much for watching, and if you've enjoyed this video, why not click here to watch another one, and don't forget to click the like button. Cheers. More importantly, don't forget that to become an official Coffee Botherer, you need to click this image around here somewhere to subscribe to our channel, and to become a fully accredited Coffee Botherer, also known as Patreon supporter, just go to patreon.com/coffeeblogkev. Tatty Bye.